So it's supposed to be about being on the road, right? So I lived in New Jersey, which is, yeah, I hate New Jersey, but I lived there. I was studying like philosophy. So I decided to take a class in New York City, which is like the big city, and I'm not like a sophisticated guy or nothing like that. So I would go in every week to this class, and the class was on, you know, Kant's Critique of Pure Reason, which is like the hardest book ever. So I'd go into New York, and this day I ate my dinner at the Au Bon Pain, which I'd taken French, but I don't really know how to say that name even yet. And I thought at the time it was sort of like a, you know, sophisticated urban cafe and whatnot. But so I had my Arizona chicken melt or whatever, and I go out, and this guy stops me on the street. I'm going to my class, and he stops me. He's like, "Yeah, you hear what happened at Penn Station?" And I didn't hear it because I just came from Penn Station before my sandwich, right? But I didn't hear the news. But he tells me he was on the train, and they stopped the train and took everyone off. And he didn't know what was going on. It was just, oh wow, my beer's. I noticed this, right? That was totally unplanned. So they threw him off the train, and he's kind of stranded, right? He's got his big art satchel with his art in it, right? Because he's an art student. That's what he tells me, right? So. And he doesn't know what's going on because he's trying to go to Boston. He was coming, I don't know, from DC or wherever, and he's talking about, oh man, you know what? He's trying to pump me for information, right? And okay, so it's relevant. I'm not like a racist or anything, but it's relevant to the story. He was like a black guy, and he's sort of in. I'll get to that. And he's youngish, but he could have been from 20 to 40. He has this youngish look to him, and it's also relevant. He's got very odd-looking teeth, right? His teeth are kind of askew. And I noticed this, I didn't know what to make of it, right? But actually, at the time I subscribed to Newsweek, and I would read it. I would read it every week. I'd usually read the whole thing, right? And did you see the article last week? My mother was in there. She was the first black councilwoman from Brookline, Massachusetts, right? So and I was kind of embarrassed because I usually read the whole thing. I probably should have known that. I felt like kind of a dope for not knowing that, right? It's like nah, I didn't end up seeing that one. But yeah, that's the truth, right? And he's an art student in Boston, and he asked me if I want to see some of his artwork, and it's like, no, that's okay. But he's got a lot. He's telling me a lot of other good stuff, right? So I'm kind of really into what's going on, right? And he was asking the cops for help, and they wouldn't help him, right? They was like, you know, we don't help you with that kind of stuff. You can maybe go to a homeless shelter if you're stranded here for the night. And I'm kind of shocked. It's like, wow, what if I was stranded in New York City? I don't want to go to a homeless shelter, right? I wouldn't know what to do, right? So I'm feeling a lot of empathy for him. And he's telling me about this other guy he was asking for help. And this guy was actually a white guy. That's what he tells me. And the white guy was going to help him with some money. He was going to give him some cash, right? But apparently the white guy had to have a few drinks before he gave out the money. So he went to the bar, went inside and had a few drinks, and the art student was standing outside waiting. I guess they didn't want to share the drink or whatever. So the white guy goes into the bar, has a few drinks, and comes out, and he's like, starts hurling. He says, I'm not going to give you any money. And I'm shocked. It's like, because I don't believe in that kind of racial insults or whatever. So it's like, oh my God, I would never act like that. I don't believe in that kind of stuff. I didn't say that. I thought that in my head, right? But this guy's really in need. So I'm thinking, wow, what if it was me stranded in New York City? I wouldn't want to be stranded here. I might be killed in the middle of the night. So he wanted $80. I didn't have $80, so I had to go to the ATM and get $80 for him. And he's like, wow, he really feels good. We were walking arm in arm. He was like, put his arm over my shoulder. He walked to the end of the block after I gave him the $80. And I felt like, you know, I'm a sucker, but maybe not. You know, I knew there was something going on because I figured if his mother was the councilwoman, she would have been able to afford a dentist, but apparently not, right? So anyway, I went home and I'm supposed to call him, and he's gonna send me the $80 along with a videotape of his performance art. But I called and it gives me the so I didn't get my money. But a couple years later, I read this article in the New York Times. And it was about this guy, and he's a famous scam artist, but he died of AIDS. And so it was really a poignant moment, and I felt this great empathy for him. And he was actually a famous guy. He was the inspiration for this play, The 6 Degrees of Separation. And I felt like, wow, I guess that's the way he makes connections with other people. He just scans them on the street, and I felt a real connection. So if I meet him in heaven or hell or purgatory, I'll be like, you know, dude, what's up? And that's my story. Thanks.